I just got to ask about bear market, bear bottom. So bear and double meaning. So bear bottom, bear market targets for Atom. It's going to be a pretty wide range, and I'm going to show you why here. The average slope of this bear market for this asset has been, you can see with the rotated rectangle that's orange. If I can make this click. Okay. These are origin lines, which essentially are the pads or the bumpers off of which price plays historically, right? And it's going to keep doing it. But so these are the bumper pads. Essentially, it's not cheat code necessarily, but it's like drawing between the lines, essentially. There are lots of ways to fill in a color between a couple lines, right? So it's not quite a cheat code. So don't think of it that way. And these vertical lines is November and so November of this year, 2022, and February of 2023, because those are just my guesses on the time axis when shit's going to tank down. So now we have the timing intersecting with the average slope of the drop, and it creates 4 points. And it's going to be a big-ass range. I mean, one of these suggests that this is a candidate to have already bottomed, along with Quant. What was the other one? Yeah, Quant is a strong candidate for potentially having already bottomed, even if Bitcoin makes a lot lower of a low. But honestly, this is a candidate as well. I don't know if it's quite as strong of a candidate, but the lowest it might go, even if Bitcoin tanks down to like 10,000 or 12,000 or 14 or 15, it's possible that that Atom only goes back down to 820. However, you can see these numbers for yourself. It's a very drastic difference, right? So what is going to, long-term be your indicator for which one of these COSA targets is going to be the most realistic? Because I want to give you those two tools. So macro tools for this, I would use the Bitcoin dominance chart, and I would try to copy the lines, the origin lines that I have on the Nasdaq Composite Futures chart. Using those two things together, I feel that you're going to be, as we get closer, to at least closer to the time axis, okay, this way, closer to this line and this line, regardless of how high or low price is. As we get closer, those two tools are going to allow you to better guess which target is right. So let me go into that and why. So the NASDAQ composite chart, for folks who might be, jumping on here asking about interested in Atom without having followed my Bitcoin videos where I've covered this extensively, which is fine. Zooming out here on the 2-day chart, and this is the ticker if you want to pull it up on TradingView yourself. You just type in NQ1 exclamation. Line A is going to be hit, right? It's just always hit, and that's what's going to happen. The stock market can't bottom until that happens, and Bitcoin likely won't either. But that is the point in which Bitcoin can potentially separate itself in the minds of the speculators with large amounts of money, so hedge funds, all that stuff. It could create a race to Bitcoin for safety, because right now NASDAQ is what is considered risk on, right? And Bitcoin trades with it. So Bitcoin, in the eyes of big money, where they don't like risk, Bitcoin's very volatile. That's why it's traded as a risk on asset. I mean, technically it is, even though it's not supposed to be, but it is. It's really, really volatile. So it's trading with this market. Once this line A is hit, and I'm going to connect it back to Atom here in a second with those lines, but this is one of your tools. So let me make myself invisible, and you might want to do your best to make it look the same. You can pick different colors, but try to do that. All right. This is one of the tools you're going to use. So once NASDAQ in the, later this year, whenever it happens, I mean, hell, it could be next month, but whenever it hits this, if Bitcoin doesn't start outperforming this market, Bitcoin hasn't bottomed or whatever, it doesn't make a V shape or it doesn't do something good, all right, then Bitcoin is going to continue to come down with the stock market until line B is hit. Because this NASDAQ went so far above the equator line, so this is the master origin line, right? It's always hit. Because it went too far above it, as it comes to touch it, it's going to overshoot it. That's what the stock market is very, very likely going to do. Very likely. The question for Bitcoin is, will Bitcoin go down with this chart until line A or until line B? Make sense? So that's why I want you to copy that, because over the months, when line A is hit, that's your cue. Okay, now let's start going back to the Atom chart. And you're going to be able to... so if you see that Bitcoin's going to keep going down with it until line B, well, then you can by that cross out this one. So when line A is hit, and you won't be able to do it in the exact hour candle it's hit. It'll take a couple weeks, maybe a month to figure it out. But around that time, it's not the exact instant line A is hit, but around that time, that's when you start figuring out, you're going to be able to start identifying, am I going to delete this as an option? On top of that, particularly, well, actually in both cases, but particularly in the case that Bitcoin does not separate from the market at that time, what will be the second tool that you'll want to use to calibrate that is Bitcoin dominance. Because if Bitcoin, which it looks like it's going to bounce here, if Bitcoin is both going down with to line B and Bitcoin dominance goes up while Bitcoin's going down with the market, that means altcoins will go down faster, right? So then, going back to the Atom chart, you can start honing in, ooh, these lower targets might be it. So you have to have two things happen. Bitcoin keeps going down with the stock market, down to line B, and this gets a big bounce. That's when alts are going to get their asses kicked. They would, even strong alts, they would drop 70% from their current price, roughly, in that situation. It would. Weak alts, even if they're down 98% or 95% now, they're going to drop 80 to 90% more. More from current price. Doesn't matter if they're already down 95% from the all-time high. They're going to drop 90% more from their current price, if that in that case were to happen. Because that means Bitcoin's going to 4 digits. And weak alts, it's just the market book. It's like anybody doing market orders, which means buy now or sell now, not wait for it to be filled. Almost all market orders are going to be sell because people are going to be panicking. Small alts down 95% are the only market orders. Like it's going to be vast majority sell. They're going to go down. So, and the order books are thinner. That's why it doesn't matter if small alts are already down 95%, right? But things like Atom, so this is an Atom video. Things like Atom, they're a hell of a lot stronger. I don't think Atom will be like the sole. Like I don't think if Bitcoin dominance rises as Bitcoin dominance is falling, I don't think Atom would be the only one that that goes up. But I think Bitcoin dominance would have to stay low while Bitcoin continues to be pulled down to line B. But I don't see that happening. I think if Bitcoin's pulled down to line B, this is going to fire up and come right back up to this horizontal. So make myself invisible here. I think it'll just play in this range. And alts, so big, nice, strong alts will be down 70%. I'm just making rough guesses, but roughly 70% from current price. So let's actually now go back to Atom. Does that make sense? Does it match up to one of my numbers? I actually don't know. I could be way off. Let's find out. I got my toes crossed. 70%. That's right here. It's in the middle of right there. It's between that one and that one. So yeah, it is not. So that all does seem to align in specific regard to Bitcoin using those two tools as your guide throughout the months. Bitcoin dominance and the NASDAQ line A and line B, but go back and do all those. So that was a more complex one because Atom's been strong. So it's got a big range, so you have to do more work. Most alts, you don't have to do all that work to to try to calibrate a bottom. They're just weak, and they're like definitely going to stay in this channel, right? So you can, and it's a tighter channel, and the bottoms are going to be a little easier to see on most alts. But because this is a candidate to potentially have already bottomed, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and you need a little bit more tools than just this chart, the chart of itself. Hopefully that was helpful for Adam.